Hey guys, so a while back I uploaded a couple videos about Cardassian biology and history. These videos were made years apart, so I feel like my presentation has changed quite a bit, but nevertheless, I thought some of you might like a supercut version of these videos. So here it is. And don't forget to subscribe, because there's more where that came from. Hey guys, what's up? Tyler here, and welcome to another episode of Alien Biology. So Star Trek as a franchise is quite interesting when it comes to its approach to depicting alien creatures. There's plenty of bizarre and exotic forms that we see throughout the series, but most of the aliens that we see are humanoid in appearance for obvious reasons. Furthermore, many of the humanoid races appear to be humans with nothing but nose or forehead ridges, but a lot of the aliens that have ample screen time have a much more creative design. And the Cardassians, I think, are a perfect example of this. The Cardassians, first introduced in The Next Generation, are heavily featured in Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Their government, the Cardassian Union, had just occupied Bajor for decades at the start of DS9's run, and they left a very messy political situation, to say the least. But while their society, culture, and politics are very interesting in and of themselves, today I want to focus on the Cardassians' biology, and answer some questions that I and other people have had about this unique race. So without further ado, this is Star Trek Alien Biology, the Cardassians. Did you know that flavored air devices are quickly becoming the leading alternative to vaping? It's an entire new movement towards better habits, led by today's sponsor, Fume. Fume is an award-winning flavored air device that fills the void ditching a bad habit can leave. You'll still have something to reach for. Fume draws flavor to your mouth through a passive diffusion system, but doesn't use vapor, meaning you can use it anywhere. No nicotine, so it's not addictive. And no batteries, so you'll never have to charge it. The device looks awesome, is perfectly weighted, and incredibly fun to fidget with. If vapor were compared to sticky soda, Fume cores are closer to herbal teas. They've got lots of delicious flavors to choose from, like crisp mint and orange vanilla. Based on my channel name, you can probably tell which one piqued my interest the most. Over 500,000 people have already made the switch to Fume as part of their habit change journey. If you're ready to try it for yourself, now's the time. For a limited time, if you order the Journey Pack using my code OrangeRiver, you'll get a free Fume topper, an awesome accessory to level up your experience. Go to tryfume.com/OrangeRiver or scan the QR code on screen to get yours today. Now, back to the video. Like many of the other humanoid races in the Star Trek galaxy, the Cardassians are suggested to have descended from an ancient genetic code seeded by humanoid progenitors 4.5 billion years ago. They're characterized primarily by their light gray skin, two thick vertical neck ridges that recede back to the crown of their head, and a roughly teardrop-shaped ridge in the center of their forehead. Their facial ridges are thickest right above the eyes, resulting in a deep-set appearance and being somewhat reminiscent of some of our ancient hominid cousins. Female Cardassians generally have softer ridges, as well as a blue coloration in their forehead teardrop, an example of sexual dimorphism. Cardassians generally have straight black hair that grays with age, and their blood is red in color, presumably utilizing iron-based hemoglobin. They also have hearing that is less acute than humans. Unlike some other races, such as the Vulcans, Andorians, Tellarites, Orions, we don't know exactly which real-world star serves as an analog to the Cardassian sun. But according to Star Trek star charts, Cardassia orbits a giant orange star, absolute magnitude of -1.1, or 100 times brighter than Sol. Cardassia Prime, which is what Cardassians call their homeworld, is also the second planet in an 8-planet system. It should be noted, of course, that Star Charts erroneously depicts Cardassia Prime as being the 6th planet of the system, so the star's absolute magnitude may also be called into question. Because of its relative closeness to its parent star and the sun's relative brightness, it's no wonder that the Cardassians enjoy warmer temperatures than many other humanoid species. As I mentioned in my alien biology video about the Asari from Mass Effect, a planet that orbits the star that outputs redder wavelengths would have vegetation that is darker and browner in color. And in fact, Cardassia Prime actually delivers on this front. Images of Cardassia Prime depict vegetation that is in fact darker and browner, albeit with a slight green tinge. And of course on the surface, this brown color palette is also replicated in their architecture, and their sky is a bright red orange. What does all of this have to do with Cardassian physiology? Well, as you can imagine, a species' environment has a huge impact on its biology. It's one of the foundational principles of Darwinian natural selection. We are told in various episodes of Deep Space Nine that Cardassians do prefer darker, warmer, and more humid environments compared to humans, which has contributed to one of the biggest debates surrounding this species, in my experience. Are the Cardassians mammals or reptiles? It's a very loaded question. The short answer is no, neither. While there are a lot of recognizably mammalian and reptilian species in Star Trek, not every alien on every planet is going to fit in those neat classifications. Really, the Cardassians are best described as just aliens. But the long answer is more complicated. The connection between Cardassians and reptiles has been noted many a time, not only by fans, but also production staff. Michael Westmore, the makeup supervisor on Star Trek Deep Space Nine and several of the other spin-off series, referred to Gul Oset's makeup as akin to a scaly reptilian-type armor skin. The Cardassians' preference for warmer temperatures is also a reptilian trait, as reptiles are cold-blooded. Andrew Robinson, who played Elam Garrick on DS9, has made several references to Cardassian neuropsychology and likened their brains to the reptilian portion of mammalian brains. It's this reptilian brain that gives them, in his estimation, their sense of boundaries, their strict code of justice, and their suspicious and aggressive nature. Cardassian society is organized in a way that values law and order over freedom and equality, and consequently their government, a military dictatorship, holds Orwellian control over its population. It should be noted, though, that this wasn't always the case. There are plenty of references to a Cardassia that used to be more peaceful and democratic, when art and culture flourished before authoritarianism, likely a response to resource shortages set in. To be clear, this reptilian brain hypothesis regarding mammalian development is no longer considered to be valid in many scientific circles. The original hypothesis, developed in the early 1960s by Dr. Paul MacLean and popularized by Carl Sagan's 1977 book, The Dragons of Eden, is called the triune brain hypothesis. It describes a model of the brain that involves three complexes: the reptilian complex, or the basal ganglia, the paleo-mammalian complex, or the limbic system, and the neo-mammalian complex, or the neocortex. The basal ganglia, situated in the forebrain, are strongly associated with voluntary motor controls, procedural and habitual learning, eye movement, cognition, and emotion. MacLean argued that these traits were dominant in the brains of reptiles and birds, and that the reptilian complex was responsible for instinctual behaviors such as aggression, dominance, territoriality, and ritual displays. All this is well and good. But seemingly reptilian traits do not necessarily a reptilian species make. That said, Memory Beta, the canon for licensed non-canon works of Star Trek such as novels, games, and comics, does refer to the Cardassians as quasi-reptilian, and includes them in the category reptilian races and cultures. But while this is true, the Cardassians do clearly possess some traits that are more associated with mammals than reptiles. Cardassian women have breasts for obvious reasons, and while the Cardassians' ridges do resemble scales somewhat, their skin overall is more like human skin than reptilian skin, despite the difference in coloration. Additionally, while their behaviors would seem to suggest that they may be cold-blooded, this is never explicitly said to be the case. It's possible that Cardassians do regulate their body temperature and simply have a different threshold for how hot or cold their bodies can get. So what's the answer? Well, there is one hypothesis that does make sense to me. The Cardassians might have evolved from an ancestor that, like them, possessed both mammalian and reptilian characteristics. There are actually some animals in Earth history that follow this description as well. Logically, the common ancestor of mammals and reptiles would have shared traits of both. Early synapsids, a clade of amniote tetrapods, used to be referred to as mammal-like reptiles, although this terminology is now considered outdated as our understanding of mammalian evolution has advanced. Technically, synapsids include modern mammals, such as humans. The therapsids were a group of synapsids that evolved about 275 million years ago, distinct from reptiles. Therapsids include all mammals and their ancestors, which bodes well for our investigation. One of their defining characteristics is the orientation of their limbs beneath the body, as opposed to beside the body, which is the configuration seen in reptiles such as lizards and crocodiles. Therapsids also include the clade Cynodontia, which first appeared in the late Permian period and gave rise to the mammalian lineage about 225 million years ago. There was a non-mammalian lineage of cynodonts, Tritolodontidae, that went extinct about 113 million years ago, although these animals were characterized mainly by the shape of their teeth and their herbivorous diets, traits that are explicitly not shared by the Cardassians. As a matter of fact, there really is no singular last common ancestor of mammals and reptiles in the fossil record. Most species that have lived throughout history don't even leave fossils, and the ones that do can only give paleontologists so much information to work with. This is why this is a field that has been evolving, pardon the pun, for centuries. With this in mind, the closest Earth animals that I can come up with as an analog to a hypothetical ancestor of the Cardassians would be something like Biomarsuchia, early non-mammalian synapsids that had bony protrusions on their foreheads. Sound familiar? These animals evolved from pelycosaurs, a group of so-called mammal-like reptiles that used to form their own order but were later reclassified. Pelycosaurs include the infamous Dimetrodon, which is a recognizable animal of the Permian period. It's unclear if the Cardassians' ancestors ever had full body hair, or if their head hairs are more recent development. Whatever the case, it's likely that the Cardassians' ancestors have always been some form of predator, with this and other reptilian traits described by Westmore and Robinson and others being passed down through generations and forming the basis of Cardassian physiology. In addition, alongside these reptilian traits, the Cardassians have clearly evolved certain mammalian characteristics as well, including the fact that they reproduce via placental viviparity, meaning they give live birth. Viviparity is a trait that is common in mammals, but is also technically shared by some other non-mammalian animals, such as whale sharks. So what's my verdict? Well, again, aside from the more accurate description of Cardassians as simply just being aliens with no direct analog to any Earth animals, the best I can come up with is that they are in fact mammal-like reptiles, hybrids of sorts, and their ancestors would resemble some of the more awkward-looking middle stages of mammalian evolution between the Permian reptiles that predated the dinosaurs and the shrew-like beings that gave rise to the line that led to us today. Life has a very interesting way, it seems, of developing into all kinds of veritable forms that are uniquely adapted to their environments, and it seems that on Cardassia, these early synapsid-like predators won out. Before we end this video, I actually want to talk about one other hypothesis regarding Cardassian evolution that could turn everything we just went through on its head. The Cardassians' relationship with the more human-looking Bajorans may go even deeper than just being an occupying force. Some believe that the Cardassians and the Bajorans are actually the same species. What evidence is there for this theory? Well, Cardassians and Bajorans are two of the only known species in the local galaxy who are capable of reproducing without medical intervention. Even Vulcan-human hybrids require some sort of genetic manipulation to help them survive. Furthermore, the Bajorans are known to have been capable of faster-than-light travel since the 16th century, which predates the Cardassians' current wave of expansion. A Bajoran solar sail actually reached Cardassia 5 light years away around this time, meaning first contact predated the occupation by about 700 years. Some have made the connection between the Bajorans and the Habitians, the first civilization to flourish on Cardassia 10,000 years ago, and whose artifacts are often uncovered in archaeological expeditions. The Habitians were incredibly sophisticated. They were very spiritual and also possessed solar technology not unlike the Bajorans. According to the DS9 novel Avatar, artifacts made of Jevonite, a rare mineral on Cardassia, have been excavated on Bajor and been proven by quantum dating to predate the Habitians on Cardassia. At some point after a major climate disaster, the Habitians were wiped out by more militant members of their race. What if the Habitians were actually Bajoran colonists, and modern Cardassians are Bajorans who genetically engineered themselves to be better adapted to Cardassia's warmer environment? It's a wild theory, one that has plenty of holes, but the close biological connection between the Bajorans and the Cardassians can't be ignored, in my opinion. I don't personally subscribe to this theory, though. because I think that we need more than just circumstantial evidence to make it more plausible, but it is interesting to consider. And hey, maybe it could be true. It would be a nice plot twist regarding the power dynamics between the Bajorans and the Cardassians, proving that the former may have always been more advanced, just like the Baul on Kaminar used to be the prey species before they enslaved the Kelpians. All in all, Cardassians have an evolutionary history that is quite unique among some of the other races featured on screen in Star Trek. Not quite mammalian, not quite reptilian, but resembling something in between. In conducting the research for this video, particularly their resemblance to early synapsids, taught me a lot about evolution here on Earth. Hey guys, Tyler here. The Cardassians are one of the most fleshed out alien species in Star Trek. First introduced in the Next Generation Season 4 episode The Wounded, Cardassians are most prominently featured in Deep Space Nine, set aboard the Cardassian-built Federation space station of the same name. Cardassians are frequently depicted as being incredibly xenophobic towards other species, and their government, the Cardassian Union, is a fascist state. Having occupied the planet Bajor for half a century until 2369, the Cardassians remain a major player in the Alpha Quadrant during the Dominion War. I've previously made a video about Cardassian biology and evolution, but in this video, I'd like to examine their history, comparing them once again to our expectations about aliens in real life. Let's get started. While Cardassian society and culture is fairly fleshed out on screen, many aspects of their origins and early days are shrouded in mystery. The first Cardassian civilization was called the Habitian civilization, and their era is naturally called the Habitian Age. The dates of the Habitian Age have never been revealed on screen, though the non-canon short story The Glories of the Habitians dates them to between 10,000 and 6,000 Earth years ago, or about 8,000 to 4,000 BCE. For reference, it was just before this period, the mid-Holocene epoch, that humanity had finally emerged from Earth's most recent ice age. But the Habitians were advanced in their own right. They employed solar technologies, according to Andrew Robinson's novel A Stitch in Time, and allegedly had contact with other planets, though it's indicated they may not have possessed faster-than-light travel this early. The Habitians were a spiritual people, worshipping the deity Aurelius in a tradition known as the Aurelian Way, which has survived into the 24th century. But when Cardassia Prime suffered catastrophic climate change, Habitian civilization fell as millions perished from disease. The survivors would go on to form a militaristic expansionist society in the form of the Cardassian Empire. Much like real human history, Cardassians have likely undergone several cycles of peace, war, democracy, and authoritarianism. The non-canon reference book All Our Yesterdays, the time travel source book, indicates that a second Habitian period ended in the year 1345 CE with an event called the Great Famine, roughly concurrent with the fallout of the bubonic plague in Europe on Earth. The reference further states that Cardassia became a politically unified world in 1591, concurrent with the late stages of the European Renaissance. The Cardassians subsequently developed warp drive by the year 1670. While these dates are once again not supported nor contradicted by anything on screen, there is one event that occurs in the 16th century that is confirmed in canon: unofficial first contact with the Bajorans. As we are told in the DS9 episode Explorers, early Bajoran astronauts traversed space using light ships equipped with solar sails. At least one of these light ships stumbled upon tachyon eddies that propelled it past the speed of light, carrying it 5 light years to Cardassia Prime. While the Cardassian government at first denied this Bajoran achievement, the discovery of a crash site on Cardassia proved that such an event had in fact taken place. Of course, this crash does not necessarily indicate two-way communication between the two civilizations in the 16th century. But we do know from the episode Accession that the two species are aware of each other by at least the 22nd century. According to the non-canon novel, The Crimson Shadow, early Cardassia was dominated by multiple powerful families. One of these may have been Anabrantain's ancestors, though this could simply be apocryphal. This aristocracy composed the supposed origins of the True Way, a secret society that represented the interests of the elites. There was continual strife between the families, which in the mid to late 19th century led to the formation of the Obsidian Order, Cardassia's top intelligence agency. The Order was meant to bring an end to civil war and provide stability. We know from canon that at the same time, the Cardassian Central Command and Detapa Council were jointly established as Cardassia's military authority and civilian government, respectively. Theoretically, the Cardassian Central Command and Obsidian Order would answer to the Detapa Council, but in practice, the Council exercised no real power. Together, these three bodies formed what would come to be known as the Cardassian Union. A deleted scene from the episode The Tears of the Prophets would have also established that Tret Ekleen was the father of the Cardassian Empire and that he was born in the Ventani system, indication that the Union was interplanetary from its inception. Nothing really concrete is known about the activities of the Cardassian Union in the 20th century, but presumably during this time it would have been expanding to other star systems. By the late 21st century, a government called the Cardassian First Republic is said to have existed. The First Republic was later known for its serialist poets like Elogia of Prim, who, according to the episode Destiny, was, by the early 23rd century, exiled to Vulcan and met the second host of the Dax symbiont, Tobin, along with the presence of Cardassian voles in Gabriel Lorca's menagerie in Season 1 of Discovery. This confirms that the Federation and Cardassians may have had at least unofficial contact by the 2250s, although Cardassian space travelers are seen venturing near future Federation space by the 2150s. Cardassian society during the First Republic is purported to have been much more peaceful and prosperous, but by the late 23rd and early 24th centuries, the First Republic's time was running out. Due to Cardassia's scarcity in natural resources, the Cardassian people became increasingly impoverished, once again suffering from famine and disease. The population eventually turned to a more militaristic ideology, relying heavily on the Union's further expansion to obtain badly needed resources. The military colonized new, mostly uninhabited worlds and wielded a totalitarian dictatorship over its population. Within time, though, this arrangement would prove insufficient, leading the military to occupy additional nearby worlds and subjugate their native populations to work as laborers, among other things. One such nearby planet was, of course, Bajor, which the Cardassians occupied starting in 2319 and formally annexed 9 years later. This occupation was condemned by the Federation, and the Cardassians' continued expansion brought the two powers into an armed conflict a few decades later, fighting border skirmishes during the mid to late 24th century. One major incident was the Setlik III massacre in 2347, which cost hundreds of thousands of lives and severely weakened the Cardassian Union. This war ended with the Federation-Cardassian Armistice of 2367, followed by the Federation-Cardassian Treaty 3 years later, forming the demilitarized zone along the reshaped Federation-Cardassian border. The layout of the DMZ causes tensions, with multiple Federation colonies ceded to Cardassia. To this day, the Federation-Cardassian Treaty is derided as one of the Federation's shittiest peace deals. Colonists on these worlds are given the option to relocate, though many stay. Disgruntled by the treatment they receive under the Cardassian Union, some citizens decide to revolt, giving birth to the Maquis. The Cardassians withdraw from Bajor in 2369 due to a combination of factors, including efforts of the Bajoran resistance, the unpopularity of the occupation on Cardassia, and losses in the Federation-Cardassian War. To help with external affairs, the Federation is invited by the Bajoran Provisional Government to temporarily take over the ore refining station Terok Nor, hastily abandoned by the Cardassians and renamed Deep Space Nine. Spoilers for DS9: after first contact with the Dominion in the Gamma Quadrant, changelings infiltrate numerous local space governments in a successful attempt to destabilize the Alpha Quadrant, sparking a costly war between the Cardassians and the Klingon Empire between 2372 and 2373. Prior to this tragic event, Enabran Tain, retired leader of the Obsidian Order, takes it upon himself to prevent a pan-galactic war with the Dominion. In a joint operation with the Tal Shiar, he organizes a secret preemptive strike on the Founder's homeworld in the Omarion Nebula, using a combined cloaked fleet of 20 Cardassian and Romulan warships. However, the effort is infiltrated by a Dominion agent, and the fleet is ambushed and utterly decimated by the Jem'Hadar, with only a few survivors left. The battle causes the Obsidian Order to completely collapse, which subsequently allows the Cardassian dissident movement to overthrow the Central Command's authority in early 2372, restoring the Detapa Council and civilian rule. In mid-2373, after the crippling war with the Klingons, the debilitated Cardassian Union joins the Dominion after the previously dishonored Gul Dukat negotiates an alliance between the two powers, acting as a messiah of sorts to his people. When the Dominion decides to finally invade the Alpha Quadrant after some 3 years of Cold War, the Dominion and Cardassia together prove unmatched on all fronts, forcing the Federation and Klingon Empire to constantly retreat. It is only a matter of time before Earth and the rest of the Federation would be conquered, but the tide eventually turns in the Federation Alliance's favor, with this war ending in 2375. By this time, Cardassia's leader, Legate Damar, realizes he is simply running a puppet government under de facto Dominion rule, with Cardassians having become second-class citizens in their own territory. After the female changeling cedes parts of Cardassian space to the Breen Confederacy as compensation for their joining the war, Damar starts his own rebellion, with the general population turning against the Dominion, but not without harsh consequences. The Dominion first destroys Cardassia's capital city as a form of exemplary punishment, and in the end, over 800 million civilians are slaughtered in a planet-wide genocide. The Cardassian military is greatly reduced, and their economy crippled, with the planet once again falling victim to famine and disease, leaving remaining Cardassians to pick up the pieces and rebuild once again. As Klingon Chancellor Martok states whilst standing among countless cindered corpses, such a tragic fate for a once mighty people is likely considered by most Bajorans to be poetic justice. By the 32nd century, Cardassians are somewhat ubiquitous throughout Starfleet, and the president of the Federation is a Bajoran-Cardassian human hybrid. By this time, the Cardassians are no doubt a more peaceful, democratic society, likely a member world of the Federation itself, if not merely an ally. With such political and social integration depicted on screen, one has to wonder if this is, in fact, Cardassian history coming full circle. What I mean by this is, it's a relatively popular fan theory that Bajorans and Cardassians are descended from a common ancestor. One major piece of evidence is the fact that Bajorans and Cardassians can apparently reproduce together without medical intervention, though it's unclear if such offspring is fertile, a piece of evidence in the other direction. Cardassians may be descendants of Bajoran colonists who ventured a few light years from their home star system thousands of years ago. After all, while Bajoran space travel in canon is only dated to the 16th century, it's also known in canon that Bajoran civilization is 500,000 years old. Not just that they've been around for 500,000 years, because, you know, Homo sapiens have been around, us humans have been around for 300,000 years, but our civilization has only been around for 5,000 years. Theirs has been around 100 times longer. The intervention of the prophets only dates back to 30,000 years ago, meaning approximately 94% of Bajoran recorded history is completely unknown to us, the audience. And indeed, the DS9 novel Avatar indicates that an artifact on Bajor made of Jevonite, known in canon to be a rare mineral only found on Cardassia, predates the Habitians. And the short story The Glories of the Habitians suggests early Habitians possess Bajoran features, implying that later Cardassians may have genetically engineered themselves in order to better and faster adapt to Cardassia's warmer and more humid climate. So, at least in the novel continuity, this seems to be a pretty open and shut case. But what do you think? Let me know down below. And big thanks once again to Fume for sponsoring today's video. Go to tryfume.com/OrangeRiver or scan the QR code and use code OrangeRiver to get your free Fume topper when you order your journey pack today. With that, thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a thumbs up down below and don't forget to share it. That stuff really helps me out. If you haven't subscribed yet, be sure to do that as well so you won't miss future uploads, and click the bell icon to receive all notifications. If you want to support my work even further, you can become a patron at patreon.com/OrangeRiver, link in the description, or become a YouTube member by clicking the join button on my channel page. By becoming a patron or member, you also get access to awesome perks like behind the scenes photos and videos, patron and member only polls, name in the credits, merch discounts, and more. Or you can drop a one-time super thanks or PayPal donation. All are appreciated. Links to my PayPal as well as my social media merch store are in the description too. That's all I have for this week. Live long and prosper.
Resist. Resist today. Resist tomorrow. Resist till the last Dominion soldier has been driven from our soil.